On this worksheet, we need to know all the rules of exponents to be able to simplify these guys. And first of all, let's start out by identifying the typos. There was a mistake on number 7. There used to be a big 8 right there. That should be an exponent of 8. And also on number 8, this 2 should be actually a 7. So go back and change that 2 to become a 7, please. Okay? And we're going to start simplifying using the rules of exponents. Like numbers 1 and number 2, and even number 3, we're using rule 1 of exponents, which is where you just add the exponents. When you're multiplying two terms with the same base, they're both C right here, C right there, you're able to actually add the 5 plus 2, and you're going to get 7. But then again, 5 plus 2 is 7, plus another 2 is going to be 9, so your answer is C to the 9th. I hope everybody understands that, yeah? Okay, now number 3, you could do the same thing because you have the same base. There's an A and there's an A. So all you got to do is add negative 4 plus negative 3. So your answer is A to the negative 7. However, there's another rule on exponents that say if you do have a negative exponent, you're supposed to grab that term and move it to the other side. Imagine like if it were a fraction. So you're going to move that A to the negative 7 down here and it'll become A to the positive 7. And there's going to be nothing left up on top. So your final answer is going to be 1 on top over A to the 7th on the bottom. Does that make sense? Let me pause that thing. Okay. No entiendo. So moving right along, I think you guys could do, all you're going to be doing on this one is add 5, negative 4, and 1. Add all those together, and you'll get your final answer of x squared. Nice and easy. Why am I doing all of them for you? I don't know. Okay, number 5 is more interesting. So let's do number 5. Now, there's different ways of doing this. One way is to actually think, okay, 2x to the second, that really means 2x times 2x, and that will be 4x squared. Because 2x times 2x, 2 times 2 is 4, and x times x is x squared. Or another way of doing it, which I would probably do, is recognize that I have an exponent on the outside, and these inside guys have the exponent of 1, so I'm going to distribute, because that's one of the rules of exponents. You distribute the outside exponent to the inside exponents, and you'll get 2 squared x squared, and of course, 2 squared is 4, and x squared just stays x squared. So over here, when I distribute, put the 2 right there and the 2 right there, you're going to have 4 squared y squared, and what's 4 squared? 16. The y squared just comes down. Now what we need to understand here is that we were multiplying between the 2, so we're still multiplying between the 2. And if we zoom in even further, what is really happening between the 4 and the x? What's happening right here? We're also multiplying. And what's happening between the 16 and the y? We're also multiplying. In other words, we have pure multiplication, so we could just multiply the numbers, the 4 times 16, and then put times x squared times y squared. So 4 times 16 is what? 64. And the x squared times y squared, you can't really do anything with that, so there's your final answer. 64x squared y squared. You guys get it? Let's take a look at one of these. I don't know, which one do you guys want to see? Number 8? Number 9? 8? Okay, so once again, you have pure multiplication. 24 times w times z to the 7th. So, how many z's do you have up here? Remember, this was a typo, so it's just 7. So we have 7 z's up there. How many z's do we have down here? 5. So all of these 5 z's, every single 5z, cancel out with 5 of these, and you're going to have 2 left over. Does that make sense? Now let's take a look at the w's. On top, we have 1w, and that 1w is going to completely cancel out with one of these 3, and you're going to have 2 left on the bottom. Does that make sense? Good. Now, the 24 on top and the 3 on the bottom, those are coefficients. So 24 divided by 3, that's actually 8. In other words, the 3 cancels with the 24, and you're going to have an 8 left over up on top. So let me write, let me move this over a little. Let me do this. Here's going to be my answer. What do I have left up on top? I have an 8 and also a z to the second power. 8z to the second power. And on the bottom, what do I have left? I have w squared. So w squared. There's my answer, guys. The question is, why is there 8 up on top? Well, because 24, here's another way of looking at it. 24, you could rewrite 24 as 3 times 8, huh? And down here you have a 3. So what happens with this 3 up here and this 3 down there? It cancels out. What's left? An 8. Where's the 8 left? It's up on top. So that's why we have to have that 8 up here on top, not on the bottom. I know I'm jumping around. Let me go for number 6. Is there anything to distribute from the outside to the inside of the parentheses? No. Do I distribute this over this way? No. Here's the fact. It's all pure multiplication. Okay? All pure multiplication. Let me zoom in. Right here, there's a multiplication between the 2 and the g, multiplication between the g and the h, multiplication between the h and the parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis you have g to the third times h to the fifth. So it is all multiplication. So when it's all multiplication, commutative property lets you rearrange things, lets you switch things around. So you're going to have negative 2. Let me bring down this g, but let me write this g right next to it, g to the third. So I really have a g to the 1 that came from right here, and g to the third that came from over here. And now let me do the h's. I have a regular h. This h, I'm just bringing it down, and I have an h to the fifth that I'm going to bring down over here also, times h to the fifth. So this is showing my work. You don't really have to show your work, but you need to know your final answer. What's your final answer? Negative 2, g to the what? 4. H to the 6. There you go. This is your answer. It's not bad. Now, don't get me wrong. Now this is an if I had a number like a 2 out here, then you take that number and distribute it there and there, right? But that's not the case right here. There is no exponent on the outside, so there is no distribution. So you just rearrange things and simplify. Down here, what could I cancel out? Well, how about the coefficients? How about this negative 10 divided by negative 5? That's really positive 2. And where's positive 2 left over, on the top or the bottom? On the top, right? This cancels out with this, and there's a positive 2. The negative divided by negative, you could change to plus plus. But the bottom line is 10 divided by 5 is 2, and it's 2 left over up on top. Let's go for the p's. Well, I have 1 p up here and 3 p's down there. So this 1 p completely cancels out with one of these, and you're going to have 2 p's left on the bottom. How about the t's? Well, you have 2 of them that are down here that completely cancel out with 2 of them that are up here, and you're going to have 2 left. And how about the r's? Well, this r right here completely cancels out with that r down there. There are no more r's. So what's left over up on top? Up on top we have a 2t squared. Let me write that down. 2t squared. And on the bottom, what do we have left? There's no more 5. There's not even a negative sign. There's only p squared. And that's it. Everything else canceled out. Just p squared. P squared. There's your final answer on that one. Now, 1 through 10, we're supposed to do all of them. I already did most of them. We're also supposed to go through and do 12, 13, and then 15 through 21 odd. So let's take a look at 12 and 13. 12 is just a subtraction problem. So there is no multiplying. You don't even mess with exponents. You're just distributing the minus sign. So you're going to have 5d plus 5 minus d plus negative 1. You don't even need the plus. You can just put minus 1. But anyways, if you distribute right here and right here, you're going to have a negative d and a minus 1. And now you could combine like terms. In other words, 5D, take away 1D, that's 4D. As in 4 and the letter D. And then how about the plus 5 and the minus 1? That's plus 4. And there's your answer. So this later part of the homework's really easy. 12's easy. 13's easy. 13, there's actually a plus sign. It's even easier. There is no minus sign to distribute, right? I mean, if you take this plus sign and distribute the plus sign, is it going to change anything? No. So the bottom line is, you don't even need these parentheses. You don't need these parentheses at all. You could just start combining like terms. So let's start with the highest exponent. I technically have a positive 2x squared, and I want to combine it with that one more x squared. What do I get? 3x squared. Let's go for my x's next. I have a minus 3x right here, and a plus 7x right there. What do I have left when I combine it? Plus 4x. And finally, last but not least, I have a minus 3 inside this box and a minus 2 inside this box. Minus 5. Ladies and gentlemen, we are done. Now, there's also multiplying, and there's different kinds of multiplying. Like let's say 16. Oh wait, we're not doing that one. We're doing the odd ones, huh? So 15, let's multiply by distributing negative 5 times 2c squared. That's like negative 5 times 2, that's negative 10. And the c squared, you just bring it down. And then negative 5 times, this is like if it were an invisible negative 1. So negative 5 times negative 1, that's positive 5. And the d squared, you just bring it down. So there's my answer to number 15. It's that easy, guys. Now, I don't want you to get confused with 17. We are not, let me repeat, we are not distributing the 2 the way we did up on monomials. This has a minus sign, so you cannot distribute the 2. You actually have to write it 2 times a minus 5 times a minus 5, and then do the FOIL method or the distributive property method on the binomial times the binomial. A times a squared. A times negative 5, negative 5a. And then negative 5 times a is another negative 5a, and negative 5 times negative 5 is a positive 25. And the middle terms do not cancel out. The middle terms actually become negative 10a. So my final answer on number 17 is a squared minus 10a plus 25. And there's my quadratic trinomial for number 17. Once again, do not take this 2 and distribute. That would be wrong. That would be completely and totally wrong. Do not distribute it. What you have to do is write your a minus 5. You have to write the a minus 5 2 times. And then do distribution of each of the terms. Combine like terms, get your final answer.